All right, hello and welcome everyone. Today we have Ines with us, and I don't know if you know Ines, but I will let her introduce herself to get started.
Oh, cool. Hi, thank you for having me. So, yes, I'm Ines Garcia. I was born in Barcelona some quite a long time ago, but I've been living in the UK for the last 17 years. And I suppose in the context of today, to say that I have 26 Salesforce certifications, and I've been in the ecosystem for about a decade and a half. I'm a Salesforce MVP Hall of Fame, and I'm a freelance, so I work for myself. And I do a lot of different things, including authoring a few books and courses, agile and climate coaching, also circular economy, biomimicry. I think we'll get into some of that. And we were just talking before starting about contributing to things that you think the world should go towards. So I'm part of the Agile Alliance Sustainability Initiative, part of the Pledge 1%, Business Declares, Donut Economic Action Lab as one of the organizations in action. Yeah, many more things like the Mentorship Center, or you're leading again in the Salesforce context.
Very nice, very nice. I was checking your LinkedIn, Ines, and what I find is you started like in 2005 and you have a very diverse range of experience. So do you want to talk like in brief about that journey? How did you landed into Salesforce?
Yes, okay. So how I like maybe to brief the many things I do, because I am a generalist and I kind of like it, is that I help organizations, individuals, teams to deliver better value. Think about, rather than volume, quantity of stuff, is deliver better value and reduce waste. Waste of time, waste of energy, waste of finance, but also waste of materials and energy, the physical grid energy, and to focus on impact so that we leave the place better than how we found it. The place, like the products that we touch, the people that is involved with, and then also the planet that we inhabit. So
Yeah, this line I've always heard for planet, but very well said for product and people also.
exactly. There is no planet, no party, no product, no people. And
True.
it all really started, the Salesforce stuff. Once upon a time, I was helping a company on an interim placement with their CRM roadmap. And we had a great, yet relatively new appointed CEO that had experience of how powerful Salesforce could be. And kind of said to us, you kind of do whatever you want with the CRM roadmap, but I tell you one thing, we get in Salesforce. And I come from more sort of a business transformation background, and I really enjoy trying to figure it out how things work and how things can be optimized for sort of continuous improvement. So you can imagine relatively quickly, I got my developer edition, playing with what was called the fundamentals Salesforce workbook. Yeah,
Right,
because
right.
I'm free trailhead oldie here. And so, sort of in my free time, trying to work things out and stuff. And it was so enlightening and so empowering, right? So how can me, myself, and I soon enough could be building stuff for what it could perhaps seem magic, that not only did work, but actually improve efficiency and enable headspace for people to actually do the uniqueness of what they can bring to the table rather than waste time doing boring stuff. And since then, really, I never turned back. I thought this also thing is pretty cool. And also, I think another tipping point is that through this time, what became very apparent that the community is very important. The
Right.
Salesforce community is like the advantage that no other software vendor can compete with. Like there are other communities that I haven't seen in digital space for these 20 years of working in this arena, anything like it.
But there are two tangents. One is your career, and then eventually there's a point where you will start interacting with community. Like you maybe your first meetup or like first Premium event. What was it like? How did you started
Oh,
engaging the Salesforce
yeah.
community?
I just landed by Googling.
Oh,
It's
at
magic.
that time
So
there's no trailblazergroups.com. What website? Meetup.com maybe.
success.salesforce.com.
Okay. Admin meetups maybe are there, right? User group
Uh,
meetups.
there were some local meetups, but for me, it was literally Googling of how to whatever, and then landed in this success forum. And it
Oh,
really
your
blew my
keyword was
mind.
not that, like you're not finding a group, you're finding something else.
I'm
And
finding
this,
answers to what I was trying to develop,
okay.
right? Like
And you saw a
how
link
to
to a Google,
automate whatever. And then that
right,
will take me to the forum or, like the questions and answers, the success community back on the day. And yeah, it blew my mind how people across the world would be trying to help me to solve my business problems. And since then, I basically spent every day few minutes with my coffee every day helping also others, right? Because we all been in that position of not knowing, and yeah, aside of many other community adventures. But yeah, the forum is really a special space for me. And also, I think it's very helpful for people as well that maybe if you only work with this industry, just jump in and try to help other people, because you will see what others are trying to solve and how varied the options, right? There's never one way to solve something. So it's a very nice space to be
right,
and
right.
contribute.
And there is always a limited scope of learning at job. There is a one kind of org, one kind of industry, but when you meet different people in community, that perspective actually or horizon is which goes little large. But one question here before we move ahead, like you started going to community meetups when in 2015, 16 when you picked up Salesforce, or maybe earlier?
Must have been maybe because mainly my involvement at the first year or two was around the forums, the question and answers.
Hmm.
Um, I may have ventured out on local events maybe 2013 or something
Okay.
like that.
Okay. Okay. So
Um,
you started even before that in Salesforce. I thought you're near 2013, 2014 in Salesforce.
for me, the beginning of the community was through the questions, the answers community, like the success community.
Okay.
And then, going extra outside of for events and stuff, it was a little bit later on. And then the community conferences, I think maybe 2016, London's Calling,
2016.
maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first meetup, do you remember any faces, popular faces in UK who
Um,
were there, who were welcoming and you want to
Anoop,
just give a kudos to?
yeah,
Anup.
Anoop.
Yeah,
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 Anup
yeah,
Jadhav.
yeah. Now he
Yeah,
works for the mothership for Salesforce. He's such a nice fella, really welcoming. He used to be leading the developer group. And it was really nice just to have a friendly phrase inviting you in and stuff. So yeah, he's
right,
great. And then I've collaborated a lot with Chris Edwards and Mike Gill as well, both from the UK.
right,
So yeah, and Chris is fantastic. I mean, both are fantastic, but yeah, Chris also used to spend a lot of time in the Answers community. I think that's how we met initially.
right, right. Great. So you told me about your first thing, like you started helping your CEO with the CRM setup and Salesforce was new to you. Then, like, if we fast forward, how did you move to the next role and decided that this will be my full-time thing going forward, or primary thing, not full-time thing?
Yes, I work for myself, right? And so what I thought, this intersection of agile projects, delivery, streamline, call it whatever, Salesforce could go quite well hand in hand. And I actually really enjoy playing with the Salesforce stuff. And so I've been lucky enough, I suppose, that most of my roles, all of my roles, are just because of referrals. Like
Hmm.
people will reach out because of work that I've done, or they say, "Oh, this person is looking for somebody." So I just find roles that way. So yeah, keep fingers crossed it continues that direction, so I don't
Right,
have to
right.
go through other
Same,
parties.
same
But
with me. Like you do one project and then you somehow get another connection from there.
I must admit that I normally try to have few things going on. There is a sentence here in the UK of "Don't put all your eggs in one
One by
basket,"
stuff.
and
Yeah.
it has proven quite helpful, right? When things fluctuate, you still have things going on.
Hmm.
And last year, I had again few things, but one fairly big project. And, I mean, it was a startup, but basically churning over 1 million already, which is a nice space to be in. The Essentially they made a mess with their budget, and a week before Christmas they had to stop the
Oh,
contract. And that was just like crazy because it's such a bad timing. And so I decided to take it as an opportunity. Just went head down and created the course for Data Cloud. And that really is where it comes from. I came from need to trying to get more people certified, leveling up the playing field, right? If life gives you lemons, then make lemonade.
Lemonade, yeah, yeah. So let's say if somebody has to approach you, because previously Salesforce was different. Like typically, as parents used to say, my boy knows everything in computer, my girl knows everything in computer. Now people cannot say that I know everything in Salesforce, because 10 years, 15 years back, maybe you can quote that yeah, I'm a platform expert. Now platform is very diverse and so many things. So if somebody has to, let's say, approach you for a project, what are the key clouds or things which excites you most or you're most excited to work on?
Okay, cool. So again, I'm a generalist and I like it. So you can see me taking placements for agile coach, scrum master, project delivery lead, sort of things. Also training, learning and development, change management, and obviously adoption that goes hand in hand. Solution delivery, architecture, admin, Salesforce staff, design, and
Mm-hmm.
that's on core, on sales
Mm-hmm.
and service, including Omni, including bots, cloud. I mean, for Experience Cloud, one of my biggest projects was 2 million customers
Very
on the
nice.
portal. Yeah. Marketing Cloud, I study communication, so I kind of geared towards Marketing Cloud and stuff like that. Pardot, I've done lots of Pardot non-profit, including not just the pack, but the cloud. Just a couple months ago, I finished another one on the nonprofit cloud integrations, and then things like net zero cloud. Obviously, that really aligns with sort
Yeah,
of
that aligns with
some
your
of my
purpose and things you're
principles,
doing.
and then
Yeah.
data cloud, which is latest adventure. So quite varied. It's like
Correct. So you are generous, but you're open to challenges and pick up things as they come. With that comes my next question, because that's something I'm asking everybody these days. That with AI and everything, there was a time where programmers used to feel like, yeah, I am a programmer, I'm the one who is valuable. But now I think other skills like communication, soft skills like your driving projects, that human currency probably is a big thing. What do you think of those all things and the way careers will progress in Salesforce?
so. I think that maybe 7 years ago, something was quite easy to get a job in Salesforce. But yeah, it's growing really, really fast. And especially through acquisition, that means that it may still within Salesforce family, but it's different infrastructure
Different
and
product
completely,
altogether.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
So perhaps is finding your niche, a few niches of interest. If I have to summarize, I do sustainability stuff, I do agile stuff, I do Salesforce stuff. And also that in life, less is more. So just try to keep things simple and start small and learn fast. Right? So always be learning, always try to stay up to date. I think this year is also showing that there may be an opportunity for you to invest in yourself and in demand skills that may come to play.
true, true. Do you see programming as a key skill going forward? Because with AI, things are getting really simple. So many careers will be transformed.
Well, we can talk about what AI actually is and some of the repercussions, but if we only think about developing solutions, there has always been tools to make our life easy, right? And then
Hmm.
even some sort of pseudo code and stuff like that is there always have been tools. Whilst there is value to have a standardization, we shouldn't just chuck new things, new technology or new jargon just because it's easy.
Mm.
In the subject of AI, especially when we talk about large language models, they consume heaps of energy from our grid, right?
True.
That we're taking
Very
away
mem.
from availability to
Yeah, those
lighthouses and
GPUs are,
heat
yeah,
houses and
right.
fresh water use. That's water that should be for people to drink and other species. And we are just draining our water tables. So I think it's quite important that we sort of bring the concept of ethics into some of these things. And
Do you
also,
know any
if you
data
think,
centers? Sorry to cut you. Do you know any data centers who are using clean energy? Like with Bitcoin mining, that was a debate. Many guys started using clean energy with Bitcoin mining also. Do you see that kind of change coming into these AI data centers which are using heavy GPUs to do the thing?
so there is a course I will recommend that you can grab for free from I'm one of the champions for Green Software Foundation, and from there there is a link to get a green software course, and that's going to give you sort of three buckets, mainly in terms of the energy that you use, the efficiency of how you use that energy, but also where are you tapping into, including what is the energy source. And sometimes it's more about at what point of day you do your processing, right?
Okay.
To make the most of the renewables available. And so there are a lot of things that I think we can do at our end to make our applications better. But with LLMs, right, large language models, essentially what it does is predict, not predict, but based in the past, is going to tell you the likelihood for the next word, right? So if you want to go forward, why are we basing our results on the past? One. Two, is not diverse enough. Right? Think that not even half of the population in this world have access to the internet. How can we be diverse if we just have, it's never going to be a diverse enough sort of bucket. And yeah, and then obviously all the sort of sustainability concerns that I have.
Okay. But do you see any government or body taking action about educating like the giants, the IT giants? Okay. It is exciting to be in AI race, but there is a climate impact. Do you see any regulation or those kind of things coming up?
Well, I tell you, there is a regulation, there is a legally binding agreement from 2015, the Paris Agreement, to which gives a bunch of different targets for us to achieve as a planet, right, as a species, one of which is by 2030, which is only 5 years and a little bit.
Yeah.
Each one of us to halve our emissions. And that's halving emissions as a country, as a city, as a neighborhood, as a sports club, as a company, as a product, as our job, right? So the question is, within your context, how can you halve your emission? And if you are tracking new technology, that will increase. So how can you balance not only the new consumption, but also how can you bring it half from your baseline year? And this is a question that is really context specific, and it's like, what are we doing? So I hope that people and organizations that are tapping into quantum computing and the myriad of things that AI is, and accounting for this, especially for the ones that have as a value sustainability.
That's very interesting, Tay. But coming to the original part, see, climate is a big angle. I definitely see, but I think this AI thing is not going to stop. So the thing I was trying to learn from you is like you have college graduates, and then there is a time in Salesforce. Everybody was trying to get into Salesforce, any skill, any stream. So now, how do you see the careers change with the Salesforce own evolution into different industries and expert areas now with AI also?
Yeah, so I like to say this to anybody that's like, oh, why don't with my career? You and each one of us are the creative force of our own life, right? So you are the creative force of your own life. And I find very often that when we're trying to get into Salesforce world, we look for answers elsewhere, and the answers are within ourselves. So
It's a
if
spiritual thing.
yeah, if, for example, you're looking at changing jobs, remember that the ecosystem of Salesforce is very, very broad, and there is a space for everybody. Tap into what is with your previous experience, things that you are passionate about, that you are unique, that as an individual you have value that no one else can. And
Provide,
I
yeah.
have a few things that I give as an action for mentees and stuff. First, build your portfolio. Especially you can build this in Salesforce. There is even a module in Trailhead to do that. So when you go to have these conversations, then you have something to show. Then
Portfolio
build,
like an app in Salesforce or
yeah, I think the module of build your own portfolio is on Experience Cloud. So you kind
okay.
of showcase
Oh, show
quite
the
quirky
site.
things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um, Yeah, rather than have another website or something, you make your CV sort of thing there.
Yeah,
So I
say
think
that's
that's
powered by Salesforce, hosted on
exactly.
Salesforce. Right, right, right.
And then also build projects around what you already do in Salesforce.
Hmm.
And those things are great experience. So if you don't have any experience at all with Salesforce, like what sort of things do you do at work, and can you put it in a way that
Hmm.
you can use it, so you can show it and you can add it in your portfolio, including things that you do in your own time or study time or whatever. So it helps you to reinforce concepts, but also it helps you to create a narrative when you go and have those conversations. And when you go and have those conversations, then think in stories. People think in stories. So use this sort of narrative to convey why you are the right person for the role. Why can you
Mm.
bring to the table? Because is this understanding of that you have uniqueness. And often when people trying to change jobs, they think, oh, I need to forget everything the past, right? It's all my baggage. No, this is good stuff. Bring it to the
Right.
table, right? And then find an organization in your local area that maybe you can support, shadow somebody with the Salesforce. Yeah, I think with any job switch, I would always advise that to start where you are. Don't quit your job to get a
True.
certification and expect that a job will come to you, because it's just not like this anymore.
Right,
And
right.
it's
It
a very
changed a lot
difficult,
recently.
yeah. And I think it's very difficult, especially in Salesforce, because it's slightly congested, the entry level, if you look at it. And so there is a lot of skill and a lot of experienced professional, and also the prospects for this year 2024 in the job market ain't great. So
Yeah,
please
it's
don't quit your job. So start, you don't have to start from scratch, right? Look at where you are and what are the different paths that you can test towards where you want to go. That's probably what I will go for.
right. I will take away a few interesting things from here. One of them I like is like build your own portfolio on Experience Cloud because that speaks volumes for itself. Then stories part is correct. Maybe that is coming from your agile side that people understand more in stories rather than you throw a lot of jargon and things and make it complex. That is good. And shadowing is good because initially nobody wants to work with a rookie or inexperienced person. So maybe build your experience like that. All right, so this is, I think, good. I hope this helps somebody who's trying to find their feet in Salesforce. Going forward, you have 26, yeah, 25, 25 certifications, right?
26, yeah.
Okay, okay, very nice. So how was the journey like? Because cracking first certification is always a lot of procrastination and like thinking, no, I will not do it. I will do it later. You reschedule. But maybe there is a point after which you speed up. So how much time for these 26 certs?
All those Salesforce years. So how I approach a certification is that, like with anything, anything that you want to accomplish, start small and learn fast, and have ring fence time. So for example, for me nowadays, I want to get to at least 2 certifications a year, because it's important that you keep yourself on demand, dated, right? Always be learning. So I have scheduled time where I'm going to study. But the other trick here is that I only sit in exams where I have done the job, where I have experience on, because my brain works like that. I need to have the tangible application. I'm very architectural
Yeah,
rather than just leave it at the meta cognitive
you need hands-on
side.
experience first,
And
like, yeah.
especially with Salesforce, because you can
True.
design, you can do business analysis in this world, and then you got to do it, and you're like, oh, are you talking with activities object? It's not gonna work this way, right?
Right,
So
right,
I think once you have the experience, then it gives you another layer of being able to achieve it much, much, much easier.
right, right. And that I relate with as well. If somebody will give me a page, I will read out a set of steps to go to a screen, click this. Rather, I will do that very quickly on a live org. And like if there is a project, there will be a different kind of excitement altogether. So that learning might not require reading those manuals kind of things, and it might be fast
Um,
forward.
and the other thing that I think I'm surprised people still don't use, that is an available resource, is the exam guide. Like
It's
people go
Untitled.
through the trials and everything. That's very helpful. But you have an exam guide that's going to give you all the different sections with all the learning objectives. So just go one by one, which one you know, which one you practice, which one you're unsure, and then look at considerations in the documentation, like whatever you are looking at, territory management. Just go in the documentation and put territory management considerations. Yeah. So the information is there. So take
Great.
advantage of the study guide.
Yeah, study guide is good. Trailhead is good. Any other websites you recommend? Like I think you're hosting courses on Udemy.
No,
How do you
obviously.
find that platform?
Yeah, obviously my courses, please. So I tell you the story with the courses if you want a little bit. So I always
Sure.
enjoy teaching people and stuff like that, but I can only do so until certain hours of the day. So for me to be able to publish courses gives the opportunity to have this content reaching more people. And I'm very passionate of the SDG 4, which is quality education. And so not everybody can afford a course through the academy. Not everybody has the means. And I really enjoy bringing this like theory into practice. All started because of Don Robbins back in 2019. He asked me to do a session, a play-by-play. Yeah. So I did one with him on Agile and Salesforce together. And I can give you a link. People can watch it for free at the moment.
That's a live demo kind of thing, like about a concept or thing which you are working on. Not a
Yeah, so it's just conversations with Don. He has a series, I think. I don't know how many of us, like a lot. Yeah, each individual brings their own thing from
right.
platform events with Simon to, Agile with me or Jan with CPQ, like lots of different subjects. And it's just a conversation with a little bit of demo and stuff. So it's quite nice. And I enjoyed it so much that I was like, maybe I should do more of this. So I published another one on the certification for marketing, cloud, email specialist. Yeah, and then end of last year, because I do a lot of marketing, either part of the marketing projects, I got quite frustrated because time and time again, I go to fix a spaghetti situation where we're not sure why this happens this way. So I add spaghetti and then very similar problems every time. So I thought enough is enough. I'm going to make a course about the 101 marketing basis. And so I published this in Udemy, just like the key things that every time I look at the marketing application, regardless if it's marketing cloud, part of something else, same problems we forget to do.
True.
So that's one. Then this thing with the project at the end of the year happens. I was like, fine, now I have access to data cloud. I know how to work. This is very new. People seems confused. I'm going to make something so people brings that theory into practice and I can show them with screens because not everybody had the access. And then very soon I'll publish another one for the Marketing Cloud Academy series. So I'm trying to do a series to help people understanding Marketing Cloud because we don't have a developer edition. Not everybody has the opportunity. So trying to bring that experience with demos so people sort of learn that
they can relate better, on the screens.
Yeah, exactly. And it's becoming more apparent as an application in the Salesforce world because if you think about it from data cloud perspective, Marketing Cloud is the only action product. Like you can spin things into platform events back into Salesforce core, but as an action thing that you do after unifying the individual and everything is Marketing Cloud. So we better get more trailblazers learning how this thing works.
So this is interesting. So you suggest like guys who are exploring data cloud. So this is a good mix of two skills, basically, or two not industries, two clouds, data cloud and marketing cloud, because I see what you're saying, segments, everything, audiences, they are primarily filled into marketing cloud eventually.
Yeah, at some point you want to action all that work that you've done. And so, yes, you can do things back in Salesforce core, but if you want to talk with that human, then you're going to send them an email or an SMS or something else. So you'll trigger something in Marketing Cloud, most likely. You can do other things through web services and whatever. In the Salesforce family, Marketing Cloud is becoming the sort of action target section.
Correct. And that is general curious question. Marketing cloud offers so many different things, emails, and now there is an SMS. And an SMS, Beyond that, there is WhatsApp, and then there are these kind of things. People say email is dying, but still marketers use email a lot. So what is your take on that? Quick take.
Thank you for asking me that, because yesterday I was making a module for my future course that I just covered this. Like, I have been in the communication space for decades, and I hear this email is dying for a very long time. Email is the most direct way for you to reach to someone. So, for example, my subscribers, I really care about them. I really craft, and I see the value for them to letting me into their inbox. There is nothing more intimate than an email.
Okay.
Yes, we can send SMS. Yes, we can do push notifications. Yes, we can do weird things with geo tracking and letting
Mm,
people know. But there is nothing more intimate as a channel than an email still today. And
right,
people are
right.
becoming more and more restricted into who they let into their inbox.
Yeah, that's where I'm coming. Like emails are now very like what's the right? We're treated in a different way with the Google, with the Microsoft. They don't let any email slip in, and now there are categories also, updates, forums. So many good emails slip into different tiers. So the visibility is reducing.
Yeah.
Like if I'm like interested in your content, I will subscribe to you. I will make sure I can see your email. Or let's say if I want an Amazon email to be visible, I will make sure that the transactional email is coming up rightly in the right place. But what about other emails? Do you see success there? People opening up.
Yeah, and I think email is gonna still be a key player, because we'll end up in this cookie-less world, right? Like, we
Mm,
cross an allowance of what we track with people, so we're gonna move in a way where we won't longer track cookies and so on. Having access to that intimate channel to an individual like the email is giving you an opportunity to really care for that subscriber, or for really care for that person in a way that you won't be able to do it through other channels in the future, right? So I think it's important that we move away from what I want to tell people to what do they care about.
yeah,
And
they have limited
our
time. Give them something valuable.
Yeah, and life is so noisy. I mean,
Right.
how many email addresses do we have? How many different channels do we have? How many social media things? It's just too noisy. So, as organization and as Salesforce people doing this kind of work, we really need to help to reduce noise and find that value and care for the people that we're talking with, right? So, I think it's also looking at things slightly different rather than blasting more noise. Life is noisy enough.
True, true. That on the same note of email and in the marketing domain, so it happens like with big companies, there are content writers who write specialized email and who tell you what to write. But at times, as you said, you help the CEO itself to set up CRM. So guys who are like looking to widen their horizons, do you suggest any course or have you done anything that tells them what is the right way to write an email? As you're saying, like you don't want to fill like 5, 6 paras of email, and that is not making sense to everybody. So what is the right way to write email? What are the right subjects and those things? Do you suggest marketing cloud enthusiasts, they should focus on that skill also, how to write emails correctly?
Is really context based, right? So whatever you touch, or I don't know if you heard the term of T-shaped individuals. So you have the core where your most interest and skills are based on, but also
Hmm.
it's a T. So you cross over other roles. So think about your job today and who you collaborate with, and how can you gain related valuable skills to make
Hmm.
your job better, but also to widen a little bit your opportunities and the many eggs in your basket. So I think that is important. And if you are doing a lot of marketing coordination and email sends and stuff like that, yes, why not help them? And there is a lot of content out there. I mean, to be fair, take my sort of my subscribers and my emails also as an experimentation. What can I try differently to tune and adjust in a way that is read more,
Better
right?
open
And
rate and
brings more
engagement.
value. But at the end
Yeah.
of the day, otherwise, you again using up energy from the grid for nonsense. So we need to be a little bit more careful. And if we are using these things, how can we use them for value and reduce the noise and reduce consumption?
True, true, true. Moving to forward, email, I think you have really mentioned a good point about thinking about the energy part also. We usually don't think in that way. We just send the emails. I love that. Moving towards the data cloud, as you also said, data cloud orgs are tricky to get, but now I think there are some forms on Trailhead or something where you can get that. And what is your take here? Do you still recommend people go for data cloud course without an org, or how tough is it to get your hands on?
Yeah, so I guess that you have few ways. One, now when I did the course, it wasn't there, but now you do have a way through Childhead to get a temporary or with partial access of some of the things. So go for it, right? So that will be one. Two, if you are working in your own organization, you can get access for free um, in your production of data cloud. And then again, it will be certain consumption allowance or whatever. Then three, if you are a partner, registered partner for Salesforce, you have within the partner learning camp a way for you to get a demo org for 90 days.
Okay.
And then four, if you want to see the motions with use cases and through the exam guide content, then get my course, because that's how I try to do it. So people can link that theory into use cases, into actually the screens and see how it works. So a lot of options.
Can you give me a quick summary of your data cloud course, what a person can expect and what all you are covering?
Okay. So that is, I think, 3.5 hours, small videos. They all organized on the sections for the exam and each learning objective. So what I was saying, how I prepare for the exams. So looking at this learning objective, covering the theory, covering use case, covering a demo. Next.
Okay.
Right. So each one. And then at the end, you have the hands-on sort of section where I give you certain assignments for you to put these things in place. And then a test, half of a bundle of tests, I think. Yeah, that's basically with me and some questionable jokes as well along the way. And then lots of people ask me after I release that they find questions helpful to get ready for the exam. So I released that after, I don't know, 1 or 2 months after. I created 2 bundles of exams. So that's 120 questions of things. So you can test how you feel. And it's all about the concepts that we cover, right? I have a couple of invented companies. One is an ethical pension provider. Another one is a bank that is green portfolios. Obviously, I sort of mix things together. So it's like, if they want to do this is their tech stack. How would you achieve it? And then few options, right? So as a consultant, what would you do here and stuff like that? And all is part of the course, but people seems to find that helpful. So yeah, also some
Those
questions
mock
that are
scenarios
available.
always help, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So one question on pricing side. I know we both are Salesforce MVPs, all of him, and we love Salesforce. But how do you see data cloud and marketing cloud pricing? Do you see pressure coming from market, especially in 2024, in terms to Salesforce itself to sell these products?
No, good question. I think with data cloud, it's becoming more apparent that they're moving on a consumption-based approach. And so I quite like that, because you'll end up using the end provider like AWS or some of the things that you tap into the infrastructure in a very similar way. The more you consume, the more you pay. Which also makes us be slightly more aware of our consumption. Like, we always had limits and things like that, but you can just overdo things. You can do a lot of post processing, and you can do a lot of data storage, and you can do a lot of things. So it's sort of forcing us as a professional in the area to think about how can you streamline your efforts into getting the most of your build, right? I have a couple articles in terms of marketing cloud to get the most of your contacts allowance, get the most of your super messages allowance. So there is a lot for us to learn into do less, but do better.
Do better, save time, energy.
Yeah. And
So,
noise, poor subscribers, poor customers, they have a lot of things going on. So let's care about them too.
correct. Yeah, noise is a big problem for all of us. Moving towards the end part of the podcast, I request all my guests to share DP to put in podcast, and Ines DP has a sustainable, happy profit book. Do you want to talk about that? What is that book? And it's having an interesting title: Sustainable, Happy, and Profit.
Please, you like the title. Yeah, so I published that book in 2021. I mean, for me, it has become over the years more and more apparent that our business is the most unused one. Like 4 million that's a year on air pollution, for example. We are pushing 1 million species towards extinction. We converted already 75% of land. So this is only one species, right? And so there has to be a better way to do business, because the way that our business is just run, it's not okay. I said I work for myself. I'm one person company. And at some point, I decided to go in a quest to try to find organizations that actually made sustainable change.
Okay.
So if I could take these big ideas, right? Because normally when you talk about sustainability, they're quite broad subjects. I can bring it down and downscale it at one person company. Then I will be able to side scale it, upscale it, and help my customers. And going through the motions of 2 years, speaking with different organizations, it became very apparent two things. One, narratives and operations very often have a big dissonance, right? With that, I mean greenwashing, right? What you hear and what you see, very different. But for the ones that I did find, they had very clear strategies, very clear mechanisms of how to do things. And so I took all these learnings and I put it on a book, because I thought it's better than just keep it for myself, right? Or just with one customer, just with one podcast, just with one session, right? In a way to expand the learnings. Sustainable Happy Profit is sort of broken in three. We talk about the natural capital, sustainable part one, and then go through certain patterns and the specifics of each company. And then at the end, you have a call to actions, sort of list of very tangible things people can do. Then part two, which is happy, which is the social capital, like the human part of it. How can we find more joy in our work? And then the profit part, right? We are in business. Profit is not an organizational vision. Profit may be part of staying in the game. So
True.
how are the things related to each other and still have a healthy organization? So that's basically a little bit what the book is about. And then I had a sort of last minute on release where we have the handbook edition. So the handbook edition is even another layer of very practical few pages of like, okay, this is how I start right now, regardless if we're one person company, startup of 10, or a 300, 3,000 employees.
Okay. So this is actually interesting. Now I was wondering, how was your first conversation with first company? Like, how open were they to these kind of ideas that, okay, think about energy, think about profits and social capital, human capital? Can you share some light on that?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke with so many different organizations, like from services, like financial services, to manufacturing company. Like one of the manufacturing companies, they managed not only to reduce their emissions by 70%, like absolute emissions. This is not offsets, but also that particular company created a framework to look at their employees and to support their employees as a problem solvers. Really, when you think about valuing more individuals and interactions rather than processes and tools for the agile people out there, and you can see the ripple effects. Or a bank, when you see the results of what's called ethical portfolios performing better than the traditional ones, right? And then that helps them to make a decision as the whole board is where they're going to put their money. For the financial one, for example, they became very clear to trying to align what they were trying to achieve and what was performing better, and supporting niche funding, so that also will have more investors and more interest in terms of ethical portfolios and stuff like that. And yeah, so that made me think about each one of us have to halve our emissions by 5 years, even that we have new products and new technology, how we have it from how we are now. But also asking ourselves, where is the biggest impact our organization context can have?
Okay.
So if you are a consultant, or if you are, I don't know, in energy, or if you are in production and manufacturing, where can you help the ripple effects to get us there closer? I think it's an important question we should ask.
True, true. So that's very exciting. And those who are listening to this conversation, this book is out, I'm sure, on Amazon and all other platforms. So definitely take a look. And again, as I said, we are towards the last part of the podcast. You already mentioned you have a marketing cloud related course coming up. What else we can expect in the like rest of the 2024 from your side?
So I will be in London's Calling in a few weeks, and I'm covering how we can architect sustainability in our Salesforce context. So that's one adventure. And then very soon, I will be able to publish another course on the Marketing Cloud Academy that I'm building in Udemy as well, to help people to learn that, get certified, because we need more trailblazers with the certifications and experience.
That is very exciting and looking forward to your course, Anis. And I think that's all I had for this episode. Thanks a lot for your time. I hope our audience takes some notes on the clean energy, social capital, human capital, and think about think maybe twice before sending an email, especially when they're broadcasting it to multiple people via those tools. And hope this episode makes a difference in that regard. Any parting thoughts?
Thank you for making this space and helping other voices to be heard. And yeah, to everybody, just do what you love and love what you do. Life is perishable, so it's up to us.
Great. Thank you.